Okay, we are on yet again the next part, and we left off at the 25th dynasty where it was talking about the Ethiopite kings, and we spoke about this dynasty before and had saying how they were like, I guess kind of like the sub-Saharan, maybe descendants of some sort, and they were in the Nubian highlands and stuff like that, and this is where this dynasty would come from for sure, because they say like a lot of the oldest Egypt's ancestors like all relate themselves to Upper Egypt is where their ancestors come from, and those would be very close to the Ethiopites, sub-Saharan groups, and such. So they're much more darker complexion, and they were building like pyramids on the mountains and whatnot. And that leads me to a lot of theories. I have a large amount of theories on that, but um, we can go into that maybe in this video if this book discusses it, but it might not, so it's kind of hard to determine whether or not it will. So we're just going to continue on with the book. So the 25th dynasty was of three Ethiop kings: Sabashan, who, having taken Boshoris captive, burnt him alive and reigned 8 years. Sebishus, his son, reigned 14 years. Tarshish, 18 years, altogether 40 years. The 26th dynasty of 9 Sayyid kings. And then I think we said Sayyid were, I think people from Thebes, I think? Somewhere like that, Lower Egypt, somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but we have Stephanides reigned 7 years, and Neshepsos 6 years, Neshau 8 years, and Samadicus 54 years. And then Neshau the second 6 years. He took Jerusalem and carried Wachaz the king captive to Egypt. Samothus reigned 6 years. Vapphris 19 years, to whom the remainder of the Jews fled when Jerusalem was taken by the Assyrians. Okay, yeah, that happened at like a distant time. But see, all these dynasties happened after the Exodus, so there's a time when the Jews were ruling Jerusalem and then they were taken out by the Assyrians. Okay, so things are starting to kind of line up a little bit historically here. So you have Amosis, 44 years, Samesherides, 6 months, altogether 150 years and 6 months. Okay, so they're saying that the Neo-Babylonians are the Assyrians in this thing, because then we get the Persian kings, unless these Persian kings are not who we think they are. So the 27th dynasty was of 8 Persian kings. And then we'll scroll down past all this other language. Cambyses reigned over Persia, his own kingdom, 5 years, and over Egypt 6 years. So they say Cambyses reigned over Persia, but we know that to be Cyrus. So maybe, I don't know. I thought Cambyses was like a later Persian king. Let me take a look at Cambyses. So if you just ask, was Cambyses Cyrus? It may be another name for Cyrus, but I don't remember. I don't think so, but it's possible that no, because it says Darius and then Xerxes, which were the direct successors to Cyrus. So I'm trying to like snap onto the scroll wheel. There we go. Cambyses the second was not Cyrus the Great. No, what about Cambyses the first? He was the eldest son and the second king of the Achaemenid Empire. The second king of the Achaemenid Empire. Oh, okay, so that's right. So after Cyrus the Great was Cambyses the second. Got it. Okay, right. I forgot there's Cambyses in front of Darius. I thought Cambyses was later. I always thought in my head it was like Cyrus and then Darius and then Xerxes, but yeah, it says that Cambyses ruled right after Cyrus, so, yeah, we'll just keep that in mind. So that was the first ruler of Egypt. So Cyrus never got into Egypt and ruled himself. So that's good to know. That's interesting to know, actually, that he did not rule Egypt. Cyrus never went into Egypt, according to the old Egyptian chronicle. Sorry, folks, I'm just drinking some coffee. I need to heat it up more. It's a little cold now. Okay. So after that, we have Darius, the son of Hystaspes, 36 years, and then Xerxes the Great, 21 years. Artabanus, 7 months. Artaxerxes, 41 years. Xerxes, 2 months. Sogdianus, 7 months. Darius, the son of Xerxes, 19 years. Altogether 124 years and 4 months. The 28th dynasty was Amirtius the Saidi, 6 years. Oh, there we go. The 29th dynasty was of 4 Mendesian kings. So it seems like there was a period where after the Persians started ruling, you had these other rulers kind of rule for a little bit, but it probably wasn't. They're still probably paying tributary to the Persian kingdoms because there's probably a lot of warfare going on, I'm assuming, and political upheaval, because from the Persians you get the Macedonians, according to like most history with the Egyptian rulership. Nepherites reigned 6 years, Ashorus 13 years, Psammethis 1 year, Nepherites 4 months, altogether 20 years and 4 months. The 30th dynasty was of 3 Sebenite kings. Nectanebes 18 years, Teos 2 years, Nectanebes 18 years, altogether 38 years. The 31st dynasty was of 3 Persian kings. Oshus ruled Persia 20 years and Egypt 2 years. Okay. Oh, just gotta scroll down, forgot that's Arsus reigned 3 years and Darius 4 years. The whole number of the years in the 3rd book is 1050 years. Okay, I'm assuming there's a 4th book now. Oh, okay, so this is not Manetho anymore. They just left it at Persian kings, so they didn't really go over the Macedonian Empire and all the chronicles after that. The Canon of the Kings of Egypt from Josephus. But, I mean, it's probably without said that there's a lot of information already about the Macedonian Empire and all that ruling, so this book's probably just covering really just the ancient fragments, which is what the book's title is. So this is from Josephus, and this is his rendition of the 17th dynasty. So I can't recall what dynasty that was, but whatever. Salatis 19 years, Bayon 44 years, Apashnas 36 years and 7 months, Apophis 61 years, Hamas 50 years and 1 month, Asis 49 years and 2 months. The 18th dynasty was Thutmoses 25 years and 4 months, Kebron 13 years, Amenophis 20 years and 7 months. Okay. Interesting. Let me I'm gonna pull up right now. I hope this doesn't pull up in this window. Please don't. Oh, good. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pull up the other another copy of the ancient fragments on here. I hope it doesn't mess up this. Oh, nice, it doesn't. Okay, cool. I left that window alone. Alright, now I'm gonna go to I think like page 210 and then zoom in a little bit. And then just kind of put them side by side of the 17th dynasty. So it started from the 17th dynasty. And then those are the shepherd kings. So let's pull this up right now. Right there. And so we have the 17th dynasty right there, and then the 17th dynasty. So this was talking about some shepherd kings. And then this is after all these other shepherd kings that came before. So this is where they want to start according to what's going on. So what we have is the Hyksos, so to speak, I'm assuming. And then so 17th, and then let's jump over to the 18th dynasty. Right here, the Diasporic kings, we have Amos, in whose time Moses went out of Egypt, as well as we shall demonstrate. So we have Amos, and then so we have Thutmoses, and then Kebron, and then that's Kebros, and then Amenophis, right? There we go, 20 years and 7 months. Ameses, and then Misaphris, and then Mephris, 12 years and 9 months. Oh, so it looks like there's no other transition to the other languages from the other page. And then we have Misfragmanothis, and then Mephramuthosis, 25 years and 9 months. And then this is Tamosis, 9 years and 8 months. And then Amenophis, 30 years and 10 months. And then Horus, 37 years. And then this is Horus, 36. So this is Akhenaten. If everything lines up correctly, this is Akhenaten right here. And then this is the ruler of Thutmoses. Oh man, I keep doing that. Thutmoses was the ruler during the time of Moses, so to speak, I guess, according to these chronicles. But it's so interesting that like you have like the sun god, right? So you have like the depiction of like Akhenaten, you know, worshiping the sun god. We have that like whole transition of Egyptian, what is it called, like theism. But then like they said that they reverted it back and that there was some sort of like upheaval, but none of that upheaval is like mentioned in this book at all. If you noticed, like it's kind of blank, unless this book points out a dissertation or something like that, or has like extra documents that kind of like points that out. It's so interesting to me that you see like this Horus as like the same as like Akhenaten, or like I mean, not that, you know, they just name sometimes like the gods after, you know, or some of the kings after some of the gods and whatnot. But it's so interesting to see that like you have, you know, this whole like Horus going on, and there's just nothing written about it until like we know later there's more information written about it. So so then we have we'll just put this aside for now. Let me scroll down over here so we have like just quick reference. And then Centuries, 12 years and 1 month. Rathodis, 9 years. Centuries, 12 years and 5 months. Centuries is second, 12 years and 3 months. Armias, 4 years and 1 month. Ramesses the first, or Ramses, 1 year and 4 months. Armeses the son of Miamis, 66 years and 2 months. Amenophis, 19 years and 6 months. And Sethosis and Ramses. So there's like a, what the heck? Thutmoses was a king when the shepherds went out of Egypt. From these kings there intervenes period of 393 years to the two brothers Sethos and Ermaeus, of whom Sethos was called Aegyptus, and Ermaeus Danaeus. Sethos, after he had expelled Ermaeus, reigned 59 years. After him his eldest son Ramses reigned 66 years. Interesting. So Moses was one of these foreign shepherds for sure, right? But see, like, we get the idea. So check this out. We're told in like the old Torah, right, that Moses was a slave, and that like his descendants were slaves that got traded into Egypt when Egypt was kind of expanding, and then kind of like they had to pay tributary in those lands. Because we also read in this book that there was a king, right, who went into Asia. And we have all that information recorded. And then you have like these shepherd kings, right, that are a dynasty that's like foreign, and they come in. And then you have like accounts like this in the Old Chronicle, and then from Josephus, right, saying that these were shepherd kings, and that it's what is that word called? Not obligatory, but it's implied, right? That Moses is like one of these descendants of some sort. But we get the rendition, right? That Moses was a foreigner slave, right? He got like kind of like birthed into, or I guess kind of like adopted into royalty. And then there's like no connection between like Moses and any of these like shepherd kings or Hyksos, right? They disconnect that in our modern canon. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how this is almost like a lie that we're being told, right? I think it's interesting because these books are saying it, right? And then we know now that there's a different story being told now. And then they'll tell you, right? They'll tell you that like, oh, that information wasn't correct. It was like we have new information and accounts now that confirm some of these things that, but it's like, well, why were they saying this so much back then, right? And then like you have like direct you have like this. We know that there's kings that came from outside of Egypt into Egypt to rule, and then like you're saying that they left Egypt, but then you want to give this story of like a slave, right? It's just this like victimization kind of thing going on. I don't want to get into too much detail about it because then it's like then you start like, oh, that's anti-Semitism, whatever. But honestly, looking at this, right? Why are these like things being changed so much when it comes to like ancient history, especially when you look at stuff like dinosaurs, right? Like you have like depictions of like ancient super megafauna, right? In ancient times, right? That's like depicted a lot. Super grotesque creatures, monsters. What do you call terrorize humanity? Whatever. They have superpowers, right? And then you have like this like mundane version of that existing as dinosaurs, and then they only give you limited information on dinosaurs. In fact, the dinosaurs that are on display at like the Smithsonian Museum, they're like fake bones. They don't want to put the real ones out because it's too it'll damage the bones or whatever and whatnot. And it's just like, it's just that kind of like obscurity that kind of makes people question the truth. You know what I mean? You can't you gotta like put all the evidence on the table. You can't just like tell people a truth, because telling people something and then like what actually is like sitting there as evidence can be completely different. People can easily just deny stuff. And this book makes that assertion in the very, very beginning, right? That these governments that rule today, they like to make up their own histories for all the stuff that they have dominion over, right? So like, there's Machu Picchu, right? When the conquistadors and stuff like that got there, none of the natives were in those areas. In fact, they discovered Machu Picchu, right? Some kid, right, discovered Machu Picchu, right? So that just tells you right there that like none of the descendants of any of the natives there have any type of like hegemony or any type of like understanding of these ancient structures that are there. Could that have been said the same in the old world? And then these people started constructing their own type of truths later on down the line when they wanted to establish dominion? You gotta kind of like think about it twice when you're being told the truth, as opposed to seeing what's actually there. It's very important. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on that. We need to be aware about what people have been saying before, and then how that's changing today. And this is the cleanest example I've seen right here. Right? You say Moses is a slave and he has nothing to do with any of these royal dynasties and whatnot, but then these old books are saying it, just spitting it out. So much to say that even like the Neo-Babylonians are just Persians. They're just different bloodlines of Persians, and then this different bloodline of Persians is like, no, we can't have you doing that. It's really interesting. It makes you wonder, like, what is a shepherd king? But I'm going to read this footer. The sum of the 17 kings of the 18th dynasty amounts only to 333 years. The reading 393 is, however, confirmed by the extracts in the following page. I am indeed indebted to Mr. Cullimore for the observation that the deficiency of 60 years occurs in the 7th and 11th reigns, which ought to have been each 39 years. This correction, which may be found in some of the other lists, makes the canon completely harmonize with the hieroglyphic dates. And then, so they probably did some calculations with like the hieroglyphic dates, which we know are already like kind of like miscalculated because they don't include the axial tilt of the Earth, which makes like 360 what is it 365.25 days in a year, and that's why we have a leap year to like account for 0.25 every 4 years, adding up to 1 year. So okay, well that makes sense to me. So in any case, they did their best, and so it should be noted that. But anyways, I think we read all this, right? Okay, so in the 16th chapter, Josephus has the following: "It is manifest from a computation of the above-mentioned years that the shepherds, our ancestors, were driven out from Egypt and left that country 393 years previous to the departure of Danaus to Argos." Oh, okay. Oh, this is probably why I was saying earlier in this book that like there were people that were like there was like a Jews that were like in Egypt, right? That went to Greece, right? But they're shepherd kings. They're like all part of these royal dynasties, and then the Egyptians, I guess, wanted to kick them out of these like dynasties. Uh-oh. Did I say something I was not supposed to? Anyways, in the second chapter of the second book, Manetho says that the Jews, the shepherds, left Egypt in the reign of Thutmose 393 years before the flight of Danaus to Argos. Okay, so that he's just pointing out that those will line up. Lysimachus, that it was in the reign of Boshorus. Hey, what are you doing, buddy? You okay? 1,700 years before. Molo and some others place it as seems good to them, but Apion, the most correct, ironically of all, fixes it decidedly that the first year of the 7th Olympiad, in which he says the Phoenicians founded Carthage. Okay, that's interesting. The Canon of the Kings of Egypt from Syncellus. Canon of the Kings of Egypt, formerly called Mesraim, who is Menes, reigned 35 years, Corodes 63 years, Arstarchus 34 years, Spennius 36 years, Anonymous 72 years, Serapis 23 years, Sesonchisis 49 years, Amamenes 29 years, Amasis 2 years. Hold on guys, there's cat's getting a little noisy. Hey, what are you doing, buddy? You okay? Sorry folks, we got a kitty who likes to be a little chatty. He's a chatterbox. He's a little chatty one. He's a ginger cat, so these cats tend to be really crazy for some reason. So he has like episodes where he just likes to just meow a crazy amount. Oh. And then we have Asesephrithres, 13 years, Anchorius, 9 years, Armises, 4 years, Camois, 12 years, and Miamas, 14 years, and Amaseses, 65 years. And then I'm going to read this footer right here. It says it's like some sort of Greek word. It's substituted by, I don't know who these authors are. They're just abbreviated. For the 15th, I'm assuming the 15th dynasty, while the 16th is left vacant. What dynasties are they referring to? 14 years being assigned for the period of the reign. Okay, I'm not sure what they're referring to. I think it's like these dynasties. But these are all abbreviated. I'm assuming some like authors that are in these texts that he's referred to, but I don't remember. So we have 17 Usus, 50 years, 18 Rameses, 29 years, Ramesomenes, 15 years, Usimares, 31 years, Rameseseos, 23 years, Ramesameno, 19 years, Ramesi Jubasi, 39 years, Ramesi, the son of Vaphris, 29 years, Concharis, 5 years, and it says here in the 5th year of Soncharis, the 25th king of Egypt, the 16th dynasty, which is called by Manetho the Cynic cycle. The 16th dynasty, which is called by Manetho the Cynic. So the Cynic cycle, I think I read like a few videos back, was like the like demigods, right? It was like the period where like you have like all those Egyptian like Cronus and Helios and all that, and then you go to the Cynic cycle, which were like demigods. So it's saying that. What is it saying here? I don't understand. Because it started, we just like jumped from like the end of those books, which were like kind of like more the Persian dynasties, and then it goes from like right here, which is like back to the beginning basically. So it's saying that 25 reigns a period of 700 years from Mesraim, the first native king of Egypt. And then like I don't even know what it implies by native. 26 Silides, 19 years, the first of the 6 kings of the 17th dynasty according to Manetho. 27 is Baon, 44 years. 28 is Apashnas, 36 years. 29 is Apophis, 61 years. 30 is Sethos, 50 years. 31 is Sertos, 29 years according to Josephus, but according to Manetho, 44 years. 32 is Seth, 20 years. He added the 5 intercalary days to the year, and under him the Egyptian year, which had previously been reckoned 360 days, only was increased to 365. Under him also the calf was deified, and called Apis. Oh, the Apis bull. Okay, so which king? Who was it? A Seth? Who's he referring to? I don't know what he's referring to. Oh, okay. So this is from, who is this from? This chronicle? This is Syncellus. And then he wrote this here in Greek. Oh, this is from Syncellus and Eusebius. Okay, so I'm going to read this footer real quick, and I think I'll just end the video here. In the Armenian canon of Eusebius, a Theban dynasty, which he calls the 16th, is placed as the first, to which is assigned a period of 190 years. This is followed by the 17th dynasty of the Shepherds, which lasts 103 years. No names are given in either. The first part of Aranomus, Old Latin version of Eusebius, is lost. The list, therefore, both of the Armenian canon and of the Hieronymus version, commence with this, the 18th dynasty of the Diosopolites. The names of the 32 kings given above are merely those of Syncellus and the Greek opposite. So it's saying, dude, it's saying that like all those shepherd kings and foreign kings that like had ruled are just like they're taken out. That's interesting. It just starts with the 18th dynasties. Cause that's what we saw, right? Is the 17th dynasty, and then anything before that, right? They didn't include any of those. So curious indeed. So later in this book, they're gonna skip all those dynasties, right? And then let me read this footer. Neither of the Latin versions give the names of the 20th dynasty. The names substituted above are merely translations of the Greek of Syncellus opposite. So they're taken out. Dude, that's not like sketchy. I'm glad I read those footers. Alright, and I guess I'll just read this footer. These are kind of interesting. It's, I'm assuming maybe Eusebius or something like that, I don't know. Allows only 2 years to Cambyses, reckoning the 7th month of the Magi as 1 year. Hieronymus gives him 4, omitting the Magi in the canon. Interesting. The Armenian reckons this and the 2 following as the 28th dynasty. Hieronymus divides them. Oh, so am I supposed to be reading all this? No, I think that's the other... I think that was that other thing that I was reading at the beginning of this video. So, I'm going to leave off here with the canon of the kings of Egypt from Diodorus Siculus. This will actually be pretty interesting. I wonder if it's going to start from the beginning. But, I will have to end it here though. So... what I gathered from this so far is that they've omitted the 17th dynasty, right? And before, well, really just like the 16th dynasty, which if here, I still have the page up, right? So from Manetho, we have all those dynastic names, but from the Latin versions, from Syncellus and Eusebius, those, I guess, were omitted, right? Because we saw earlier in this video, we started with the 18th dynasty, of right here, and then these hold on, let me scroll up here. Yeah, see, the 17th dynasty were all these shepherd kings that were ruling. See that? So I guess they omitted all of that, because the 15th dynasty also too was like shepherd kings too. They like, interesting. Hold on, let me read that one more time. Actually, I'll just read at that outside this video, just kind of double check my understanding. So we'll leave off here the canon of the kings of Egypt from Diodorus Siculus.